Hello and welcome to the Back Nine Report. My name is Carlos Torres, and along with Fred Altvater, every week we check in on the world of golf to bring you the latest news, insights, analysis, interviews, recaps, previews. Hey, we cover anything and everything golf. In other words, if it happened in golf, we have it for you. Fred, how are you this week?
Hey, Carlos, I'm running. I'm getting a little tired, but I tell you what, I had a really good weekend. Drove out to Latrobe, Pennsylvania, over the weekend and played the Glengarry Golf Club out there, which is very hilly. And then yesterday we played Latrobe Country Club, the home of Arnold Palmer. And also during that we honored Doc, who was a long time press secretary, confidant, gatekeeper, whatever you want to call him, Doc Giffen for Arnold Palmer. You gave him the key to the city. The mayor was there. He got a lot of accolades and awards from different organizations and charitable organizations, of which he had through Arnold and help raise money and do all these things. And so that was a really cool thing. Playing Latrobe was very cool. So had a great couple days. That was with the Worldwide Amateur Golf Association, who 5 winners yesterday were named, and they will be going to Scotland in April for the Team USA versus Team Scotland in the Worldwide Amateur Golf competition. So that was very cool. I had a great time. We'll get Randy on sometime to talk, Randy Tatlinger sometime to talk about that. But very cool thing, guys. Watch for information on that coming down the road. This was the first year for it. Next year, it's going to be a lot bigger, a lot more enthusiasm for it. So it's really a pretty good deal.
Definitely, and keep your eyes on us. We're going to bring you all those as it keep going. But Fred, we have a lot to talk about what's happening right now in the world of golf. And we're going to start by talking about the just recent ending of the FedEx Cup season, where fittingly, I mean, we could maybe, you can say under some circumstances, Rory McIlroy was just like flying under the radar, if that's possible, right? Because even though he had a tremendous season, it wasn't like, other than the things that were said about the LIV, and that we'll get into it later, but it was like Rory McIlroy was there at top of the leaderboards. He was not winning as usually we should see him. It was other players taking the majors, but at the end, he came from 6 shots behind to win an improbable win there at the Tour Championship this weekend, where Scottie Scheffler definitely had it won, but he definitely dissolved himself in those first 6 holes and opened the door for Rory McIlroy, who definitely, you got to tip your hats off to him. He definitely had a great putting session. I mean, he was masterful, and that showed how good he is. I mean, we have talked about Rory McIlroy. Whenever he is on, he is definitely hands down the best player in the world right now. And a better ending for the PGA Tour, because we know what's been going, the battle against the Saudi-backed funded LIV Golf, Rory McIlroy taking a stand along with Tiger Woods, being this leadership type of role that you can see now among the top tour players, and that chip on his shoulder and all the things that he's been saying, now he's been able to back that up. So for the PGA Tour, at least it's a win in the sense that Rory McIlroy, they're right now taking the mantle of the top player for the PGA Tour, not only as a great player, but also taking the voice of the PGA Tour, is the winner of the Tour Championship.
Well, I'm going to take it one step farther. So all week long, you had Scottie Scheffler, who is the #1 player in the world. You had Xander Schauffele, who I think is number 3. And you had, these other top guys, the really good players in the world were on that leaderboard. Those are the guys that played well all year long in the majors and every big event in the world. So you had the best players right there. Now, with Cam Smith leaving and going, that's unfortunate. He is number 2 in the world, but still with that leaderboard, those are the players you want to see. Those are the guys that you want to see play. So I think the Tour Championship was a big win for the PGA Tour, and Rory on top of that kind of was like the cherry on top of the sundae, right? You couldn't have written the script any better for that, for the PGA Tour. So with winning that, the idea of not letting those three players play in the playoffs, and then with Rory coming through and winning as kind of the top spokesman for the PGA Tour, and then the strong leaderboard that you had all week. Yes, it was a very big week for the PGA Tour.
It was big, and for now, I mean, we can see how this can be taken even further, because now Rory McIlroy, definitely we'll see him now going to the DP World Tour, trying to also achieve the win there coming up. But definitely that mantle of that top player, I am taking over, and the PGA Tour needs that type of let's say marketing or attention, because the LIV Golf is having everything right now going their way in the terms of publicity. Everybody keeps talking about everybody that leaves every week is waiting to see who's going to be going. But now that you see, and you mentioned the top players, they had their meeting before the two weeks ago, and now they're showing up. And we're going to talk about some changes that are coming now to the PGA Tour. But the top players, you mentioned them, they were on top of the leaderboards. That's what the sponsors want to see, because that's what they're about to definitely look for, and make sure that next year, which is the year that everything is going to be in the balance, right? We know that next year, for the whole year, the season will be either seeing who else is going to leave to the LIV or who's going to stay, and definitely both of them having their tournaments, because until the antitrust lawsuit gets the result, we really won't know what's going to happen between the players from LIV coming back to the PGA Tour and be able to play, or just more players going to the LIV. But now we have to talk about the changes to the PGA Tour, because you want to say something?
I do. Before you get away from that, you made a really good point there about Rory kind of putting golf on his back right now and saying, okay, boys, I'm gonna take care of you here. We're gonna get this thing done. Okay, I'm gonna be the leader. So Carlos, you know how I like history, and so we can go back in time, right? Walter Hagen and Bobby Jones brought golf to the forefront, okay? And then we had Hogan, Snead, and Nelson, who brought it through the 30s. I mean, the golf was about broke back, when Sam Snead really came to presence in the 30s. And then Nelson came and Hogan came and carried it through. And then Palmer, he was the big guy. Then TV came in, then Nicklaus, and then Tiger. Now Rory is the guy. Okay, he's the guy, he's next man up, that's got to carry this thing through. And so that's what we're seeing right now, Carlos.
Definitely, and that's something that we had seen as a different take on Rory McIlroy, because he has always talked, but he has not walked the talk, right? So now he's talking, he's walking it. And something that always had, when he had said something, he might have sometimes gotten into trouble with the media and the people, because some things might have been controversial. But this time he has taken it to it, and he's acting upon it. It's a great thing to see Rory McIlroy finally being in that position, because since Tiger, we haven't seen, and we have said Rory McIlroy is the only person that really can maybe take over in that, in some sense, being the one that moves the needle. Rory McIlroy is the one, and the PGA Tour really needs that attention and that person from Rory McIlroy to take over and see be the one that moves the needle, because they need everything they can against LIV. Now, something that they're doing, and you can say whatever it is, but some of the players are saying, of course, not the top players, and there's top players now. Some of the players saying, well, they're catering to the top players, because yeah, we have now official top players, because according to the tour release, the top player right now is a player who finished in the top 20 under the current player impact program, and players who finish in the top 20 under the revised BIP criteria, which is always going to change too, because instead of 10, now there's going to be 20. And the announced $50 million money that's been doubled to $100 effective right now. It's
$100 million.
Million dollars right now. It's going to happen. There's going to be some scores changes and the PIP and all that. But all of a sudden, boom, from 50 to 100. for the PIP. And those top 20 there are the top players in the top, what they call the top players. So they must compete at least in the elevated event plus 3 non-elevated events. Speak of which, there's gonna be 12 elevated events, starting with the Tour Championship that's gonna start right now, which is something we're gonna mention too. But they had always had bigger events before, right, and smaller events. Now we get some more definition on that. There's gonna be some really top events, and that will feature a purchase of $20 million, and the top 20 players, as long as they're qualified for the event. Because it's not just because you're a top player, you're gonna be there, but it's gonna be the 3 FedEx Cup playoff events, the Genesis, the API, the Arnold Palmer, the Memorial, the WGC, Dell Match Play, the Century Tournament of Champions, and then there's gonna be 4 additional elevated events with at least $20 million purses. We'll also see the top players in the PGA Tour pros at least 20 times, because do the math. I mean, even anybody can do it. 12 elevated events, but 3 additional non-elevated events, yet that gets it to 15. Then there's the Players Championship, right? And 4 majors. That's 20 right there. So a minimum of 20 times we're going to see the top players, which is something that goes against what the LIV has been saying. You're going to play less and you're going to earn more. So, Fred, there's also the fully exempt tour members will get at least $500,000 stipend, right? Those are what they call the earnings assurance program, and guarantees that every fully exempt member of the PGA Tour will get $500,000. Well, hey,
Is that like guaranteed money?
well, there's a catch. It is guaranteed, but there's a catch to it. It's credited against their own course earnings. I'm going to leave you to explain that one, because I still am a little, a little dicey on that one. And there's going to be some stipends to other players. The Tour Championship now has some extra dues, so I'm going to stop right there and let you keep going at this. So I'm finally get 20 wins and you're a lifetime member. Wow, all those things is incredible, man.
Yeah, you pretty much touched on it. But so the PIP program goes from 50 million to 100 million for the top 20 guys, right? To 100 million. But isn't the LIV paying like $100 million to the top guys anyhow, just flat out cash money? Why does this excite me if I'm a top player? Yeah, okay, it's more money, that's great. But what I really like is that some of these events now are $20 million purses. Carlos, it wasn't, just like yesterday, these guys were struggling to get to $6 million purses for the PGA Tour. They just got that guaranteed a couple of years ago, right? This is a huge jump, tremendous jump in purses. And so it's the 3 FedEx Cup playoff series, these elevated events, the Genesis, which is Tigers, the AP Invitational, Arnie's, the Memorial, Jacks, the WGC Dell Match Play, the Century Tournament Chains, the first tournament of the year in Hawaii, and then 4 additional elevated events. I'm sure we're going to see the John Deere Classic in that, right? But that's supposed to be like a rotating thing. So some of the lesser tournaments are supposed to be able to get one. There's the Rocket Mortgage and, the Wyndham, those 3 tournaments that had terrible fields at the end of the year are, hopefully down the road going to be one of these elevated tournaments that's going to get the top players into their neighborhood. So the idea is that we should see the top players more often, because they have to play in these events. They have to maintain this status to stay in the top 20 to get the big money. So, they've got to play. The Earnings Assistant Program guarantees that every fully exempt member of the PGA will get $500,000. So to me, that's guaranteed money. Now it says it's going to be credited against their on-course earnings. But guys like rookies who don't have any past experience, they're going to get the money up front. I think it's going to be hard to get that back from them if they don't earn that much, and it's going to be hard not to earn $500,000 on the PGA Tour, because now, you got to have what, 1.3 or 1.4 just to get in the top 125 anyhow. So, and now we're elevating the purses, we're playing for even more money. So 500,000, that's a lot of money to you and I, Carlos, but to these guys, that's not that much. They can make that in, well, I mean, when you can make 1.2 winning a golf tournament, it's, all you got to do is finish top 10 and you're winning 500 grand. So now they're getting this money up front and it covers expenses, all those kind of things. Other pros would get paid at the end of the year minus their earnings. Okay, these are the veterans. Okay, so for instance, if a pro earns $450,000 in prize money, the tour will fill that $50,000 gap at year's end. So they're getting $500,000 one way or another. They got to play in 15 events. So I mean, that's the minimum, but it's guaranteed money, Carlos. They're getting $500,000 one way or another, whether they get up front or they're getting it at the end of the year with earnings tied in there. So that's how that works. So yeah, they've done quite a bit adding this stuff in. Is it enough? Is it really going to sell? The PGA Tour is a PGA Tour. I think people will still watch it. I think golfers are still going to watch. The average golfer is still going to watch the PGA Tour. They want to see these top guys. And we said it before: Morikawa, Scheffler, Jordan Spieth, Justin Thomas. These are the guys that people want to see. I could live, I guess, without seeing Dustin Johnson and Brooks Koepka and Patrick Reed. I don't have to see those guys. It doesn't bother me that they're not going to be on the PGA Tour, I guess. So we'll see. I come back to what happens to the charities. I'm hoping that this will keep the PGA Tour somewhat in the same business model they've had, where they can help these charities and these communities that they go into and raise all these charitable dollars. I hope that continues. So a lot of changes coming up as soon as next year, Carlos.
So there's one more thing I'm going to talk, and then I'm going to have a question before we go to the LIV new players there. But also, we have to mention about, are you ready for some golf? Because are you ready for some football, right? But there's going to be, starting in January 2024, we're going to see some Monday night golf. Yes, amazing. And it's going to be the TGL, which is the TMRW.
This is right down your alley. It's technology central, right?
Well, no, TMRW is tomorrow, supposedly, but also stands for Rory McIlroy, TW and RM, which is Tiger Woods and Rory McIlroy, who own the TMRW. And now that, like I said, it's going to be in January 2024. So we're still 1 year out. They're getting all this ready. It's going to be a team style event. It's going to be also a stadium style golf event. What is that? Well, hard to say, but you're going to see 18 players in that league, 6 teams, 3 on each, and they're going to go head to head over the course of Monday nights throughout the season. And apparently, well, it's supposedly intended to supplement the PGA Tour in a way to bolster the pockets of the top players. Again, we keep talking about top players. What happens to the other players? Because again, it's something that at least in LIV, you see all the teams, it's all the players, and they get all that money, right? There's still no TV contract in place, and maybe the reason for that is because of what we talked. For the first time ever, streaming is surpassing the TV watching, the TV ratings. So it is going to be interesting. What is it going to be? Are you going to have streaming on this, or are you just going to have a TV contract? How that's going to work? I guess we still have a year for that, and almost a year and a half for that. It's going to be interesting to see that. It was just interesting to see what's going to happen. But again, we see Rory McIlroy and Tiger Woods taking the helm into something to try to bolster the PGA Tour top players and try to keep the attention on it. At least making, the way I see it is, okay, let's keep our top players here. We're going to give them more money. And that way, somehow we're going to counter what the LIV is offering, because we still have the legacy here. We have the great tournaments. We have the TV contracts. We have everything that we have built so far for all these years. LIV is just starting, man, just keep here. All you want is money. We have it too. So in a sense, I find it a little hypocritical, right? Because you're saying, oh, you're selling out and all this stuff. But what are you doing here now? It's the same thing. You're just now all of a sudden making all this money just to keep them there. So you're going after the same thing now. So I find it a little hypocritical. Yes, you're trying to, because I've heard this, no, they're trying to defend their product. Yeah, you're
Because they're
still
forced to
doing,
by the LIV to copy what they're doing.
yeah, you're still doing what you're criticizing them. You're
Yeah.
criticizing them of selling out, but now you're offering your top players the same thing, at least somehow. So, Fred, anything you want to say on that before we talk about who's
Yeah,
defective?
just to address the TV thing, one of their partners, Rory and Tiger's partner, his thing is Mike McCarley, who is a former Golf Channel president. So he's got ties to NBC, and also the guy that was consulted on this when they were doing it was Dick Ebersol, who is tight with NBC, of course, because he was with NBC Sports forever and ever and ever. So the thinking is that NBC, in some format, whether it's a Golf Channel or or one of their streaming services, will end up with a deal with, or they'll at least negotiate through that to get a deal with somebody else. So a TV deal will, if you got Tiger and Rory's name in this thing, a TV deal will come. I guarantee you, whether it's streaming on Peacock or Paramount or whether it's on CBS or NBC or whatever, or Fox. So I'm pretty sure that's going to happen. But I love the picture you sent me with Jay and Greg, and Greg saying, "Hey, Jay, yeah, you can copy my homework, but just make it a little bit different so it doesn't look the same." Well, that's pretty much what they did. It's the same thing, but they just changed it a little bit here and there, tweaked it. But it's pretty much the same as the LIV, just like you were saying.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting, like you're saying, because Tiger Woods, one of the things that I've been thinking is now these top players, right? They're going to play 20 tournaments. Tiger Woods cannot play 20 tournaments. So one of the things that we're seeing is, and I start to think more about what you were saying at the beginning, Tiger Woods taking this leadership role on the PGA Tour. Maybe, who knows? Now I'm starting to think more about your idea of, hey, maybe he can become the commissioner of the PGA Tour. I don't know if that will happen or not, but it's something that we have to think about what Tiger Woods.
If they go all in saving the PGA Tour, if Tiger and Rory go all in, Tiger could be the savior with Rory out there in the trenches, Tiger in the office. That could work.
It could, and definitely that's going to move the needle, because that's who Tiger has been all this time. But definitely those Monday night tournaments, which is just one tournament, one day, 15 tournaments, that could easily be done by Tiger Woods. But
yeah, it's not a walking deal. Because the long shots are being hit into a screen electronically. They're just playing the short shots live. So
right. So it's nothing that he could not do. I see more of him be more part of that. But what is he going to be doing this next year? That's what we have to see, because now you have to play 20 tournaments to be part of this top players, and definitely he's not going to be.
I don't see Tiger ever playing more than 6 events in a year, ever.
Yeah, majors and some others, and that's it. It's not going to be anything else. But let's talk about who are the latest defections from the PGA Tour towards the LIV, and then the impact that those defections have on the President's Cup. Because we have right now the expected, I mean, we talked about this, Cam Smith was expected to defect to the LIV right after the FedEx Cup championship was done. And it was announced yesterday, along with Joaquin Niemann. By the way, Cam Smith is number 2 in the world. Joaquin Niemann is number 19. Altvater III is number 46. We have Cameron Tingali, he's number 55. Mark Leishman is 62. And Anirban Lahiri is 92. They are the latest defections towards the LIV Golf. And I gotta say that, yeah, maybe Varner, from Varner down, but the 2 significant ones, I'm gonna say is Cam Smith, definitely, because let's talk about what Cam Smith leaving right now, immediate impact is. He's the defending Tour Championship winner. He's the winner of the Players Championship and the defending champion of the Open. The first 2 are the impact ones in the PGA Tour, because he's not going to be there to defend it. So right now you have there an immediate impact on a player, you don't have the defending champion. A player like Cam Smith, Joaquin Niemann is an up and coming player, young player that was finding his rhythm on the PGA Tour, and he was a rising star. So at least those two are two very good catch and grabs for the LIV Golf. And right now, if you see, they have a lot of for Cam Smith, we're going to see him in the majors at least for the next 5 years. Just by winning the Open Championship, he's exempt for the next 5 years. So we know that we're going to see him there, and we have other major.
If the Masters invites him.
It should be. I mean, I don't see why
They
not.
don't have to.
But if they don't, it's going to be worth seeing on them. Why didn't you? The publicity is going to go against them. Why didn't you invite him?
I'm just saying.
I'm telling you, the Masters not going to be leaving him. There's no way they're going to leave him. Now, the thing is, what's going to happen to the official World Golf rankings, right? Points, because he's number 2, but he's not going to be anymore participating on those tournaments in the PGA Tour unless we start getting some points from the LIV Golf tournaments. It's going to be tough for him to remain a top-ranked player in the world. But also, talking about these players that are now on LIV and the impact on the President's Cup. So I'm going to leave you to first comment on these 6 players and the impact immediately that we're going to see on the President's Cup.
Yeah, the President's Cup is set to be held September 20th through 25th at Quail Hollow. And so that's coming up rather quickly. And Trevor Immelman has lost more than half of his team that he would have had for the international squad. So now with Cam Smith and Joaquin Niemann not there, those are 2 big names that come off of there. Earlier, we had Louis Oosthuizen, Charles Schwartzer, and Brandon Grace, who have been President's Cup stalwarts in the past. They're already on the LIV, so they're out. Now, Anirban Lahiri is out as well. So you've got 7 guys there that are no longer available out of 12. So what happens? Who's left? We've got Hideki, and Hideki has reassured that he's staying with the PGA Tour for now. He's not going. He could be holding out for more money, but maybe it's just a stalling tactic. But right now he's still in. Adam Scott is still in, so he will be there probably. A name that popped up was Tom Kim, and I don't know Tom Kim, so maybe you know him. It doesn't ring a bell with me. Sunjae Im is available. Joo Young Kim is available. Corey Connor is available. Sebastian Munoz, Cameron Davis, Andre Arnis, Minwoo Lee, and KH Lee. But these last 5 guys, you get down to 64, 65, 66, 67 in the world, okay? These are Korn Ferry Tour guys, almost. I mean, they're one step above that. So you don't have any, these names that we've been seeing in the past are not there. And Cam Smith is such a great player right now. He's at the peak of his playing career, and he's not going to be in the President's Cup. So I think this is a bigger blow to the President's Cup than anything. These guys leaving, and Carlos, I've said this before, it hurts the PGA Tour for sure, okay? But there's enough young guys and enough names on the PGA Tour. It'll be okay. Let them go play for the guaranteed money. That's fine. It can be a competitive tour. They'll be fine. It's like a corporate outing. People will watch it, I guess. But the President's Cup's going to really struggle if they don't have better international players to put on these teams.
It will. And right now, before the defection of Cam Smith and Joaquin Niemann, there were 1 and 4 on the rankings. And another player that is heavily hinted at, who's right now number 8 and would move to number 6 on those international rankings, is Mito Pereira. He's a good friends with Joaquin Niemann, and it's been rumored that maybe he will also be joining LIV. So far, not anything imminent, but I wouldn't be surprised if at all Mito says, yes, I'm going to also go there, which definitely will make the President's Cup unwatchable to me. It was, if the Americans just beat the Europe team on the Ryder Cup, senseless. And that's a most, a much better team than what the President's Cup team is gonna be. Imagine what's gonna be it. I mean, the sponsors are gonna be hurt, and definitely the President's Cup.
TV
needs-
ratings are going to go down, streaming numbers will go down, sponsors are going, hey, we're not getting our money's worth, we're out of here. Yeah, it's going to be ugly.
Yeah, I don't think it's watchable at all. I mean, it's gonna be just a one-sided event. But anyway, we'll definitely keep our eyes on what's gonna happen. Again, so far, we know that Hideki's staying, but again, that has been said for so many players, and all of a sudden they flip the switch and say, okay, no, I'm leaving too. And I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, he's been battling some injuries and stuff. So maybe it's time for him to finally cash in and say, hey, let's just get my assurances. Adam Scott, I wouldn't be surprised either of seeing him moving that way. Those are the two players that I think are the most important right now, leading the internationals on the President's Cup that could go to LIV, but we'll see, Fred. Any final words?
Yeah, just one last comment on the President's Cup. It's not like the Ryder Cup where you can kind of hide guys. You know, they don't play everybody every session. In the President's Cup, you play everybody all the time. And so you can't hide anybody. You can't just ride 3 or 4 players through the team matches. So it's a big concern for Trevor Immelman's as his captaincy, I'm sure.
Yeah, if he would have known, I think he wouldn't have accepted the captaincy when he got it. But anyway, thank you for joining us. It's always our pleasure to bring you the latest in golf news and information. Remember to subscribe to our channel. In our description, right down there is the link, so you can just do a one click and subscribe. Thank you for joining us.